Hi guys, it's Kelly here, and I'm back with another video for Make It Crafty. This month's challenge is no images. So I'm going to be using some chipboard today. The one I picked was the Wish Upon a Star chipboard. And I just have a small circle die. I'm just going to draw in a little bit of a moon before I do some watercoloring. So I'm just making a light pencil line there. I'm just going to freehand the masking. I'm using Grumbucker's liquid Frisket. And this, once it's dry, will act as a mask or barrier for the watercolor. And like I said, I drew the circle just to give me a rough idea, but I know it's not going to be perfect because, well, I'm not a very good painter. So, but that's all right. It's handmade, so it's not going to be perfect. So I'm just going to lay that down. I'm going to use a thin layer, and then I'm going to do some spatters with it. And this is because in the background, I want to have varying depths of white. So this will be the true white, and then when we get there, you'll see I also use some white shimmer paint and just white acrylic paint. So after I get that all done, I'm going to set it aside to dry, and then I'm going to paint my chipboard. You don't need to prep it with anything. This is just white acrylic paint I bought at Walmart for like $1.50 a long time ago, probably like 5 years ago. And I'm just going to get that down, make sure everything is good and covered, and this dries pretty quickly. I just try to keep going over those spaces to smush that around. I don't want like a big blob of white drying in between my letters. So once I got the whole front covered, I'm going to go ahead and peel it up off my scrap paper and then paint the sides as well, since you'll be able to see those from the side of the card. The other thing I did, which I didn't show, was I kind of smushed the background paint to make sure that that wasn't going to be big and blocky and make it adhere weird. So I set that aside to dry. Now I'm back working on the watercolor paper. I'm laying down a coat of just clean, clear water all over the entire background. And I am working on Canson Monteval 140-pound watercolor cardstock. This is cut slightly bigger than what my card front is going to be, just so I could tape it down. And I wanted to leave some white areas closer to the bottom. So I did put water all over, but I'm only adding the light blue color like 3/4 of the way down. And just like anybody else, you know, most of the time when you're doing watercolor, especially a background, I love that soft edge that it gives. So I'm not messing with it. I'm just going to let it do its thing. I decided I wanted to add a couple of different colors of blue for my sky. I wanted to make it a more interesting background. So I used a light blue, a medium blue, and then I'm going to start adding in some navy. The navy gets darker on the second time around, which I'm good with because I'm going to end up doing 2 layers of watercolor here just to get the intensity that I want. And the watercolors I am using are the Gambi Tansi Watercolors, and the only reason I know how to say that is because my friend Mary Dawn taught me. She left me a message on my YouTube after I said I had no clue how to pronounce that. So she fixed me all up. Wasn't that nice of her? I'm going to add in some dark purple, and then the last color that I'm going to add is kind of like a dark magenta pink. And when I first put it down, it blended in pretty well to the purple, so the second time I made sure that I picked up a lot more of it, just so that you would be able to see that it was pink. And in between each of these colors, I am rinsing off my brush, just so I have a true, the true pigment of whatever I'm trying to pick up. And I'm blending out that edge a little bit more. And here you'll see me, I'm just flicking on clean, clear water. And this is, again, just to push out some water and get, or push out the pigment and get some good variation. Checking to make sure that I'm kind of happy with how that looks with the chipboard. And then I'm going to go ahead and start drying it down. I wanted to blot off the moon just because if you leave the pigment dry on there, sometimes when you go to pick it up with your fingers, it can smear, and I didn't want it to smear into my moon. So here we are, we're just going to dry, and this doesn't take too long. It just depends on how much water you have down there, and you can see that it dries back significantly. So this does not look as intense or as dark as I want it to. So I'm going to go in with another layer. I'm again putting down clean clear water over the entire thing. And this does reactivate some of the color, but not enough where it's going to completely ruin the pattern I have in the background. And the second time around, I am adding substantially more pigment. I'm making the colors a little bit darker, and then they're going to be darker naturally because it's a second layer. In some of them, I put the color exactly where I had it the first time. Some of them I didn't. I overlapped them a bit. Watercolors are transparent, so you can kind of see through them, and they'll work together. And just, I mean, watercolors are beautiful. All of those colors, blend really nicely. And here it looks, they almost look black because they're so dark, but like you saw before, they dry back substantially. So I'm not too concerned about how dark it looks at this point. Since this second layer is going to be my final layer, I'm also going to add in some of the white shimmer paint that is included in the largest set of the Gambi Tansi Watercolor paints. And again, this is me splattering on some clean clear water. And then I'm going to pick up that shimmer and start adding it in. And you can see how it spreads, how it, the water moves it around. And it's really, really beautiful. I didn't want it to be all over like a huge coat of it, but I wanted it to be pretty shimmery. So just spattered that on. And then I decided to soak up some of the edges. Just because that's where all of my water was accumulating, and then I'm going to go back in and add even more of that shimmer. I'm going to dry this down one more time. Well, I'm lying. I dried down a lot more times, but the whole piece just one more time. And again, you can see it dries back quite a bit, but it's still got a pretty good intensity. And then I'm doing the white shimmer spray just one more time on the dry background, and then I'll dry those down. The reason that I'm doing it, like I said before, was because I wanted an interesting background. I wanted to have good variation, and all of these whites are going to have different opacity. So some of them you'll be able to see through more. So the ones with the shimmer, they'll appear different in the light, and the same thing with the acrylic. When the acrylic dries, it's more of a flat, not of a shiny. So it looks like a lot when you're looking at it now when we keep adding to it, but when the final piece is done and everything's put together, I don't really feel like it was too much. So now that that's all good and dry, I'm going to peel up my liquid frisket. I'm doing the moon first before I take it off of my board because I wanted to add just a bit of yellow. I felt like it looked strange as just a large white circle. Imperfect circle. So I'm adding just clean clear water down to my moon. I didn't go all the way out to the edges, and I'm just going to drop in just a little bit of yellow and then dry that down before moving on to the next step, which at this point should be actually peeling off the rest of the liquid frisket. And I'm just doing that by rubbing my finger across there. It comes up super easy once it's dry. Obviously you don't want to work on it when it's wet. You need to wait until it's dry. And then once that is all up, I will start peeling the tape up, and then I'm going to cut it down to be the size of my card front. And at this point, this is where we are now. And I think I cut it down slightly smaller. I wanted that white border. And I felt like the chipboard, it just needed something a little bit more. So I did one spray of the W+9 shimmer spray, and then I did another or two quick sprays of a W+9 Lake House spray, and then I just blotted that up, and it gave a nice variation so that there was some blue, some shimmer. And then I'm just going to go ahead and adhere this down with the Tombow Mono Multi Glue. This is my preferred glue for pretty much everything. And I also picked out some clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh just to add on there. Again, I'm a huge fan of the bold, vibrant color, and also a huge fan of the sparkle. So that's pretty much everywhere. Once that was all done, I am adhering my painted panel down to a A2 size card. So it's 5.5 by 4.25. And then that's going to be the card. It's pretty simple. Watercoloring is you know, pretty quick, and you can get such beautiful backgrounds with it and not have to do much else to your project. So it's a great way to really utilize a clean and simple design. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a wonderful week. I will catch you later. Bye.